Scripture tells us in the last days you will be forced to take a mark and pledge allegiance to the one world global government or face prison time and even death. With comments from President Biden saying, "Our patience is wearing thin, just take the vaccine," Austria ordering lockdowns for the unvaccinated, and Australia building quarantine camps, are we being programmed to conform or else? We're talking about the two things you're not supposed to: politics and religion. Welcome to Into the Age. I'm Vince Stegall here with Doug Norvell. We are taking your calls today. The number to join us is 877-Endtime, 877-363-8463. There's been some interesting progress that is, progress, I don't know if that's the right word, interesting new things develop in Austria. They've imposed a lockdown on the unvaccinated. Australia is building quarantine camps. These are all documented on major news networks, and many other vaccine-related stories happening around the world and here in the United States. And if you understand Bible prophecy, you start lining what's happening with a world government that's coming, prophesied in the Bible, mark of the beast that's coming as prophesied in the Bible. It looks eerily close to what we will see, and so we're going to dissect that a little bit, give you an update on what's going on around the world with the vaccine and restrictions being put in place, and also how it lines up with Bible prophecy. So you don't want to go anywhere. Very exciting show that is not exciting in what's happening, but it is exciting when we look at God's time clock to know that the second coming of Jesus Christ is coming quickly, and we need to be looking for it and getting ourselves right and telling everybody that we know. Before we get into that, I do want to tell you that throughout history we've looked into the last words for inspiration and for wisdom of individuals, and there are many books listing clever and profound statements made by well-known people just before their passing. And our team here at Endtime felt like it would be appropriate to go back through the last several months of Irvin Baxter's life and capture his last words. So we've created the Irvin's Last Words 5 DVD set. Doug, take a look at this design. We looked at it last week, but check it out again. I love the photo of Irvin sitting there at the desk here in the studio doing what was one of his God-given purposes, sitting from right here where we're sitting now, and speaking to people around the world, and spoke to you from that very position.
Yes, he did. Just watching that, I'm looking at that image there. That's awesome to see, because, I mean, that just, like I said the other day, picture paints 1,000 words.
Yep.
And that is definitely a lot going on there.
Yep.
Many years.
If you're listening on the radio, it's a dark picture of Irvin sitting there, and his head makes the O in words, Irvin's last words. Clever design there, and it's a beautiful picture. Very moving picture, at least for me it is, and as you've described for you. So really cool package that we've put together. You do need to know, though, it's kind of a collector's item of sorts. It's only going to be available for a limited time. We'll have 1,000 copies, and at this point we aren't sure if we're going to be creating more. So we're starting with 1,000. Don't plan on doing any more than that. So it's, like I said, it's kind of a collector's item. They're available for pre-order today. So if you want a copy, you better get one while they're available. I don't believe, like I said, we'll be restocking them. So you better get one sooner rather than later. Here's the best part. We're giving them away for free with a donation of any amount. So if you give today, we'll send you a copy. It's kind of a risk for us, though, to be honest. They're worth over $100 or so. But we wanted to give you the opportunity to donate whatever the Lord laid on your heart. So pre-order today, and you'll receive the 5 DVD set that includes Irvin's final thoughts via his last sermon, conference, TV show, and radio show. Go to endtime.com/Christmas or call 800-ENDTIME to get your copy. If you pre-order today, you'll be one of the only ones to have this set, physical copy that is. So be sure to do it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this, Doug.
That is
It's a
exciting.
great package.
Yep, it is. It looks like it would be wonderful, and especially right here at Christmas time.
You were at the last conference.
I was.
So two of those videos you were in the building for, and I'm sure you remember that trip well.
Yeah, the Ohio trip.
It was about, what, a month before his passing, and you had the pleasure of going there with he and Judy, and you and your wife did, and so good memories there, and a great package there for people to tap into. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Vaccine or freedom? Is it time?
Yeah.
Time for that conversation?
Yeah, it looks like it is, Vince. It's like you were talking about before, it's very eerily close to what we know the mark of the beast is going to look like. You're talking about in the tease about conform or go to prison or even be killed. The Bible says that that's what's going to happen. In the book of Revelation, chapter 13, it lets us know that if we don't pledge allegiance to the one world government, if we do not take the mark of the beast, then those are the things that will happen. And it's almost like they're trying to program us now to get us ready to do just that. And when you start talking about lockdowns and you talk about building COVID camps, there was actually a video out of the COVID camp, supposedly, but because I couldn't prove that it was for sure that camp, we didn't show it today because I didn't have proof to say we know 100% this is in Australia. But we talked about before the program, if there's anybody in Australia that follows the program, if there's anybody in New Zealand, which we know there is because we have a very dear friend in New Zealand, and if there's anybody in Austria today that's listening, give us a call and give us your perspective, your boots on the ground perspective.
Yeah, we'll put you at the top of the list. We want to get you in if you're in Australia, New Zealand, or Austria. So the number to join us is 877 Endtime, 877-363-8463. If you're listening or watching online, give us a call. We'd love to chat with you. We'll be talking to everyone today, but like I said, if you're in one of those countries, we'll put you to the top of the list and be sure to get you in. Whether you agree with us or not, that's totally fine. We just want your perspective from someone who lives in these countries that are being affected by what's happening. We've got about a minute left here, Doug. I don't know how much you want to get into. Obviously, we're going to be going into detail about what's happening in Austria and Australia and some other stuff happening here in the United States. So where do you want to go next?
Well, let me just say this, because you mentioned conferences. We just came back from a great conference down in South Texas, close to the border of Mexico, in Weslaco, Texas. I spoke to an officer there that's with the Border Patrol, and he talked to me about how much he loves his job, but he has to take this vaccine. He doesn't want to take the vaccine, and now he could face losing his job at the 1st of January.
Yep.
And so, it's very real here as well.
Absolutely, and we know that this topic alone is going to get us censored. So if you could share this video if you're on Facebook or YouTube, be sure to heart it. That will help us get through that a little bit. We know we're going to be censored anyway, so End of the Age Plus is the best place for you to go. Stay tuned for more details.
Major internet companies are silencing and censoring Christian voices online. These companies are trying to control what you see and hear. Almost 200 videos of ours have been marked as restricted online right now. That's why we launched End of the Age Plus, a platform where the truth won't be censored, a platform where we can preach the message of the gospel. When you subscribe to End of the Age Plus today for just $12.99 a month, you can watch all of our content in a secure, easy-to-view way from your favorite device. When you go to watch.endtime.com and subscribe, you'll get instant access to all of our teaching resources, including Revelation, the Unveiling of Jesus Christ, Understanding the End Time, End Time Magazine, and so much more. We will not censor our message to comply with what the world deems as politically correct. Go to watch.endtime.com right now or search End of the Age Plus in the App Store or Google Play.
Hi, I'm Judy Baxter. When Irvin and I got married, we didn't realize that our calling would be a prophetic ministry. Since we started Endtime Ministries, there have been many times we weren't sure how we would pay the bills, but God has always provided. We started with a magazine, then went on radio and TV, and now we have the Jerusalem Prophecy College in Israel and online and End of the Age Plus. The mission has always been to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ and the end time message. Through the years, my husband would say, we will see revival like never before in the last days. We are living in the end time now. Thank you for walking this journey with us and continuing in prayer. You are a part of the team. Thank you for your generous support. It is necessary for God's purpose. The most important thing is that you are ready when the Lord comes. Our hope is to help prepare you for that day. God bless you, and we love you.
Welcome back to End of the Age. Open lines at 877 Endtime, 877-363-8463. Want to remind you that if you're in Australia, New Zealand, or Austria, give us a call. We will put you to the top of the list and get you in. We want to hear your perspective of someone who is being impacted by the stories that we are about to read. I also want to remind you that the Irvin's Last Words package is now available for pre-order. It's a 5-DVD set of Irvin's last sermon, conference, let's see what else, radio show, TV show. And so these DVDs capture his final words as he taught people in person and in the studio. And so it's definitely some very wonderful content that will bless your life. We're only making 1,000 of them, so it's kind of a collector's item. If you want to get your copy, I would do it as soon as possible before they're gone. The website to go to is endtime.com/Christmas, or you can call 800-ENDTIME. That's 800-363-8463. Again, the number to join us on the air today, 877-ENDTIME. Austria orders lockdown for residents who have not received COVID-19 vaccine. This is a brand new story. The Austrian government has ordered a nationwide lockdown for unvaccinated people starting tonight. Now, I think tonight is here for them.
Yes.
We're probably just a few hours away.
Yeah.
It'll be midnight there, so it's actually the first hour of Tuesday. And so that starts tonight, and they're doing it to combat the rising coronavirus infections and deaths. The move prohibits unvaccinated people 12 and older from leaving their homes except for basic activities such as working, grocery shopping, going for a walk, or getting vaccinated. Of course, authorities are concerned about rising infections and deaths that soon hospital staff will no longer be able to handle the growing influx of COVID-19 patients. It's our job as the government of Austria to protect the people, Chancellor Alexander Schallenberg said. Therefore, we decided that starting Monday, there will be a lockdown for the unvaccinated. The lockdown will initially last for 10 days, and police will go on patrol to check people outside to make sure they are vaccinated. Unvaccinated people can be fined up to $1,660 if they violate the lockdown.
Sounds a lot like Nazi Germany, doesn't it?
Boy, does it ever.
If the police are on patrol to make sure that you have your vaccine if you are out in public, that's pretty scary. You just think about that. So,
or anything. It's like, I remember, I think I was in high school when the seatbelt law went into place. Mm-hmm. And there were seatbelt checkpoints. It's like they didn't make you stop, but there was like police on foot at lights or stop signs, and they would be looking in, and there's police half a block up the road in vehicles ready to pull you over if you didn't have your seatbelt on. I thought, what is the world coming to? It's like, and now it's like they are gonna, you're in the grocery store or wherever you're at, they're gonna stop you and say, papers, please.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I am not embellishing that at all. We didn't write this.
Right.
This is from CBS.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it is this is the first time. I mean, I know we were all in lockdown when this first started to try to keep people safe, and that's what they were saying when it first started in 2020. But now we're just like, no, it's just the unvaccinated. So remember a few months ago, Vince, we ran a story where there was the lady who was with the CDC was talking on CNN, and she said, what we need to do is make it inconvenient to not have the vaccine. Remember when she said that? We
Yes.
need to make it hard on the unvaccinated people. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to make it hard for you. They're not going to make it to where you have to do it, but we're just going to take away everything from you until you give in and you do it.
Now, from a biblical perspective, from a Bible prophecy perspective specifically, why is this story even relevant to talk about on a Bible prophecy show?
Right, because of what we talked about before with the mark of the beast and how later that is going to be implemented. Of course, we're just saying this one more time so everybody knows.
Make it plain,
We
Doug.
are not saying that the vaccine is the mark of the beast, okay? So please don't go and say that we said that, because that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is this is a precursor to it. This is getting you conditioned. It's getting your mind ready for what is coming. And so that's what's happening with this right now. And that's why it's relevant, because we know at some point in time when the Antichrist has been revealed, the false prophet has been revealed, that those two will work together to implement a one world global mark that you will have to take. And this mark will allow you to buy, sell, and trade. Without that, you're not going to be able to function in the world. You're not going to be able to go anywhere, because you'll have to be able to pay with your mark.
Well, what's so interesting about this is, first of all, they do allow you in Austria to go to the grocery store. You can go to work still. So I guess the only thing you can't do is recreational things. I mean, you can even go on a walk.
Yeah, as long as you're not around anybody else, I guess.
Well, sure. But nonetheless, I think was it Prince Charles a couple of weeks ago that we talked about, who said, we need a global approach to this. So first of all, I guess this is one very clear reason why we can say this isn't that mark of the beast.
Right.
Because first of all, they're allowing them to go grocery shopping, they're purchasing still, they're doing all these things.
Right.
And it's not global yet. But Prince Charles and other world leaders are saying, we've got to all get on the same page. We can't have America doing it one way, Canada doing it another way, and so on.
Right.
We need to agree on something and be able to track how everyone's doing it, and how everyone's being held accountable to their status.
Yeah.
And so it's not. What other reasons can we say this is not the mark of the beast because of this?
Well, because for one thing, the Antichrist hasn't been revealed yet. We know he's got to be on the scene. The Bible says that the one world government is in full control then, that the Antichrist rises up in there, and he's going to be that political figure. He's going to make war against the saints. And we're going to have a false prophet, a man who looks like a lamb but speaks as a dragon, that's going to be his partner, and that's going to be pushing that one world religious system as well. And so we don't have those things here yet. We're beginning to see those things shape and form. Just like, we've talked about before, these inner faith complexes that they're building. They're building one in Germany. They're building one in the Middle East. I can't remember. Abu Dhabi is where they're building the other one. So they're building these big industrial worship centers together, to where they're trying to force everybody into this. We all agree that we believe in one God, and we can get there in many different paths. That's a global mindset. That's what they're trying to get you to think about. Trying to get you to think more along world government with what we're talking about with global warming all the time, and the pacts that they're making to move toward that. And so this is just another form of how they're testing the waters before they actually implement things. I believe that's what I personally believe about it right now.
Well, some would argue another thing that has to happen before the mark of the beast can be imposed is the rapture, right? There's a lot of people that believe
There's
that.
people that believe that. That's not what we believe.
Right.
But we've got to see that final 7 years start. So the final 7 years starts with a peace agreement in Israel, right, with the Israelis and Palestinians. Halfway into that, the Antichrist will be revealed.
But people believe we're going to be gone before that.
Right. There's a lot that believe in a pre-trib rapture. We don't believe Scripture says that.
But Irvin Baxter, our founder, used to believe that. He had to
did.
change his perspective, and we've been teaching otherwise for decades at this point. How would you feel if President Biden ordered nationwide lockdowns? It's hard to feel it for us as American citizens and perhaps for others around the world, but that's not happening in the United States of America, but in Austria it's happening. What if President Biden did?
Yeah, I really believe that, and I believe we'll see it in Austria too, that there'll be some pushback, there'll be some protest against it. I think if they tried to implement it here, there would be a lot of protest in the United States because we love our freedom. And we still have our Second Amendment right, where a lot of these countries have already given up their weapons and things like that, where they can't fight
voluntarily.
back. Voluntarily
Yeah.
giving them up
Voluntary
to where
buyback.
they can't fight back. And so one of those places is Australia. And, you know, we had a conversation earlier today. They're in the same situation with the mandate on police force. We've got a friend of this ministry that has gone to Israel with us and is in contact with us every now and then. And he's a police officer, 13-year veteran in Australia. And he's facing losing his job after 13 years and the pension he's built up and the job that he loves doing. And he's getting ready to lose his job because of this same type of situation.
Yeah.
So we're just watching things happen right now that I didn't think would really start happening until we got closer to that final 7 years. But like I said, these are precursors.
Yeah, and it's stuff that I've heard Irvin Baxter talk about for years.
Yeah.
That it just seemed like, you know, we would have conversations sometimes, and I'd be like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I see it in the scriptures. But we are so far from that.
Yeah.
How would how would it ever get there?
Yeah.
And it took, for me, I guess, maybe I saw it a little bit before, but this coronavirus, COVID-19, is perhaps what it took for me personally to see how quickly we could get there.
Yeah.
It's quite unbelievable how, I always go back to 9/11 on these type of things because that's like the big event that I was old enough to remember, like what life was before 9/11 and how free we were,
Right.
and how things have changed.
Very much so.
And
Especially
now,
in airports.
absolutely, and now, 20 years later, 19 years later, we have COVID-19. That is really a time that we'll all look to. Everyone says pre-COVID. That was pre-COVID. They'll tell a story about.
Right.
You know, a bunch of us got together to do whatever, but that was pre-COVID. I'm like, thanks. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Now
we had a cookout pre-COVID.
Yeah. What's really crazy, Doug, is what's happening in Australia.
Yeah.
I read this story. Endtime didn't write this story, okay?
Right.
No other prophecy ministry wrote this story.
Yeah.
This story is talking about what's going on in Australia. And as I read it, we were sitting there talking about the show, dumbfounded. I just can't believe this is what's going on. It says Australian authorities are building quarantine camps that won't be completed until next year in order to prepare for ongoing operations and to house those who have not had access to vaccines. Oh, they're so sweet. Those poor people didn't have access to the vaccine, so they're going to build a quarantine camp. And notice how they say ongoing operations?
Yes.
Which I don't care if it's ongoing or not. I don't like a quarantine camp. This sounds like Nazi Germany.
Yes, it does.
I'm reading this going, okay, next year.
Yeah.
According to ABC Australia, ABC,
Right.
this isn't somebody in their basement writing a blog post. Well, I had more to say, but I shall not. One such 1,000-bed quarantine facility at Wellcamp Airport outside Toowoomba, hopefully I said that right, will be fully completed by the end of March 2022. It is November 2021. That's 4 months away.
Yeah.
At this stage, this is a quote, at this stage, the cabins will be used by domestic travelers returning from COVID hospitals, states the report. However, it also makes clear that the camp will be used for ongoing operations and will be a source of employment for the local area. Oh, they're creating jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to be people who man the gates of this quarantine camp.
Probably with real big sticks.
Oh, I'd say a little bit more than that.
Body armor.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting what all they have there. But nonetheless, it reminds me, a lot of people say, what if you were a guard in one of the concentration camps?
Yeah.
They put themselves in those shoes. We might look back one day and say the same thing about this.
Yeah.
The camps, it's split into different zones and accommodates singles, doubles, and family rooms while being patrolled by police and security guards 24/7, citing new strains of COVID and people who have not had access to vaccination. Queensland Deputy Premier Stephen Miles told the media outlet, "We anticipate there to be a continuing need for quarantine facilities. The government is leasing the land on which the camp is being built from the Wagner Corporation for 12 months with an option for a further 12 months after that. Another 1,000-bed quarantine facility is also being built on a 30-hectare Army barracks site in the industrial area of Pinkenba near Brisbane Airport. Quote, why anyone who had left Australia would come back again is unclear, writes Dave Blount. It's possibly the most repressive country in the world regarding COVID tyranny."
Yeah, and so we've talked about before, this is their model of what they want to do globally. It's the model, and they're using Australia as a test subject. And so the video that I saw, like I said, I couldn't confirm or deny that it wasn't real, but there was a video of a woman walking around this facility. It's a brand new facility. It was all gray, painted gray. There was a double fence around it with barbed wire going inside. Now I remember a few years ago, Vince, there was a program on, and it had ex-wrestler, ex-mayor, or ex-governor, of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura.
Jesse the Body.
Yeah, and it was called Conspiracy Theory.
I remember that.
And he went to these facilities here in the U.S. that looked a whole lot like what was in this video. And so maybe they've been planning this whole thing for a while.
We've asked those people where those locations are because we want to see them.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to find them personally.
We may start seeing them.
Well,
maybe we
we'll
need
see
to
what
contact
happens.
Jesse Ventura.
Oh, boy. Well, we will talk more in detail about what Doug was just commenting on and more stories going on around the world, as well as getting to your calls. So stay tuned for more on what's happening with COVID.
Whether it's a global pandemic, threat of war, or floundering economies, end-time events are happening around the world every day. How can you have peace in a world of such great uncertainty? With the Endtime magazine subscription, you can gain a deeper understanding of current events and its prophesied repercussions. Endtime magazine's exclusive content and prophetic insight allows you to understand where we are in the end time. It will give you peace when horrific news and events happen. When you subscribe today to Endtime magazine for 12 months for just $19.99, you can have hope for the future because you will understand what the Bible says about the time we are living in. You'll get access to exclusive articles like the prophesied American-Israeli alliance, Endtime do's and don'ts, and could school choice save America? Subscribe for you or a friend right now. Go to endtime.com or call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-ENDTIME.
The symbols and prophecies within the book of Revelation have perplexed Christians and unbelievers around the world. In his final work, Revelation, The Unveiling of Jesus Christ Part 2, the late Irvin Baxter unlocks the mystery of the book of Revelation with in-depth analysis and commentary like you've never heard before. These comprehensive study tools, available for $299, will deepen your biblical understanding. Don't miss this special offer. Call 1-800-ENDTIME or go to endtime.com.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
To End of the Age, we have open lines at 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. We will be getting to all of your calls. We do want to hit one more story before we move forward. It's about the Federal Appeals Court reaffirms hold on President Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandate. So that's actually good news for us, Doug. Before we do that, I want to remind you, if you're on Facebook, please share and heart this video. It does help us get through what they don't want out there. And when we're talking about COVID and the vaccine, just saying those words It's built into their software to flag those words, so a computer actually finds it as we say it, and it will suppress the video because they want what they've flagged as trusted sources talking about this. Anyone else might give him misinformation, and so it will suppress the video, and we realize that. However, we just can't hold back. We have to talk about these things that are going on because it so much aligns with what's coming with world government and Bible prophecy and what's coming with the mark of the beast. As we've stated, the COVID vaccine is not the mark of the beast. However, it's getting so close that it's like we have to sound the alarm. We can't be fearful of censorship, but we want to be wise at the same time. So you sharing and hearting the video definitely helps us out a little bit, and we're so thankful when you do that. But this story, the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with the state of Utah and issued a stay on enforcement of President Joe Biden's vaccine requirement for businesses with 100 employees or more. The court ruled that OSHA cannot take steps to enforce the mandate until a further decision is made. The state of Utah was joined in the lawsuit by South Carolina, Mississippi, and Texas. The court also ruled that OSHA cannot take steps to enforce the mandate until a further decision is made. The White House had set a January 4 deadline for workers to be vaccinated or face weekly tests and a mask requirement. So that applies for businesses with 100 employees or more.
Yeah.
That's has nothing to do with the federal mandate, right? The federal employee mandate.
Right. This is just local businesses, but like we have a mutual friend that works for Walmart here in the area that we live in, and they're under that mandate right now. That's what they've been told, that by January 4th, they either have to provide the information that they have had full vaccination or weekly tests. And the thing is they have to pay for the weekly test. So it comes out of your paycheck and you have to pay for it, and you have to keep wearing a mask. So it's, they're trying to implement it. This is good news. Like the article said, right now it's being suspended.
Yep.
But who knows how long that's going to last.
So your friend from the Border Patrol, still at risk of losing.
Yeah, because he's a federal employee. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, and that, that's something, he loves that job. That's what we were talking about at the conference this past weekend. He talked about how much he loved his job. It's providing for his family and his kids, and they're about to take that away. The thing about it, though, folks, and this is what he said as we were having that conversation, God will provide. No matter what happens, God's going to provide, and he's going to trust in the Lord. And that's what we have to do. We have to trust in the Lord. But we also, we need to be in prayer for this nation. We need to be in prayer for our leaders, and we need to be prepared to push back when the time comes, when we need to protest things and we need to say, okay, enough is enough.
What do you mean by that? Because when you just say that, sometimes people look into it and add their own spin on it and say, well, Doug said this or that. What do you mean by stand against it?
Well, we're going to have to, at some point, draw a line in the sand and say, look, this enough is enough. We're not doing this anymore. We're going to stand together. We're going to refuse to do this. You can
You're talking about burning buildings down?
I'm talking about walking off jobs. I'm talking about looking for employment somewhere else.
So you're not talking about being violent or...
No, not at all.
Destructive?
No. There's, people know that there's a way to exercise your rights as an American and protest something, and you don't damage and destroy businesses and tear cities up and hurt people. You can simply stand up together, like the pilots have done with Southwest Airlines, where they've said, we're not doing this, and they've taken their time off because they're expecting to lose their jobs.
I thought all those cancellations were weather related.
Yeah, that's what they tried to say, huh? But you notice Southwest turned around and said, okay, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, when it starts affecting their pocketbooks, they're going to shut this stuff down.
Indeed. Well, quick recap. Austria orders lockdown for residents who have not received COVID-19 vax. Australia's building quarantine camps that will be ready in 4 months, March of 2022. And the Federal Appeals Court reaffirms hold on President Biden's vaccine mandates for the businesses with 100 employees or more. We've been asking the question, what if President Biden ordered a lockdown for unvaccinated people? What if the United States government started building quarantine camps like Australia is doing? We don't want to say those things to incite fear. We're just saying this could very well happen anywhere in the world.
Well, that's what they want. I mean, ultimately, that's the plan of the global, the whole global agenda is let's do this all over the world, just like Prince Charles said the other day, and other leaders have said, that's their plan. If you don't conform, then, we'll have a nice little place for you to take a vacation.
Yep. All right, well, we will get to the calls now. You can join us at 877 Endtime, 877-363-8463. As we stated from the beginning, we would love to hear your perspective, specifically if you're from Australia, Austria, or New Zealand. So if you call in from one of those countries, we'll bump you to the top of the list so we can get to hear you. We're not asking for people that agree with us to call, although you're welcome to. If you disagree with us, you're welcome to as well. So we'll take your call either way. We want to hear your perspective as you live out your life inside of what's happening in these countries. Let's go to Tennessee now. Charity, welcome to End of the Age.
Hi, how are you all?
We're doing well. How are you?
Good.
I'm fine. I had a question, but I know I'm supposed to hurry and be quick, but I also wanted to mention about the concentration type isolation camps is what they call it, facilities, or it's what the governor here in Tennessee, he actually signed an executive order, and I have copies of that, but it ran out in the 31st of October, and that was for the National Guard to be able to come and set up isolation camps for people that was not vaccinated or sick if it got to be that bad here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember too, Charity, the CDC actually made a comment about this, and then it kind of exploded out there, and they tried to recant and say that it didn't say what everybody thought that it was saying. But what they were issuing is the thought of, hey, we need to have these facilities where when we get people that are at high risk and they refuse vaccination and they could die if they don't get their vaccine, we would have a place for them to go and be quarantined in the times when it breaks out really bad again and all these things. That's what they were saying that they were trying to promote. But, we'll have to see exactly what they try to do here in the United States. But it has been talked about. That is something, you're right, that they've talked about, and I'm sure there's things that have been set in motion toward that. So it's, like I said, this is the plan to conform or to be cast out, basically. And so that's what they want to do, make it harder for the unvaccinated people to function, to work, to buy groceries, to travel, to do anything you need to do. They're trying to make it very difficult for us.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. I think, though, I do believe that in this nation, because based on Bible prophecy, I do think that America will not conform to these things, and we will be there to do the things that the Bible says we're going to do. So we know we're not in that world government based on the eagle's wings being gone in that one world beast. We see the 10 horn, 7 heads of the end time beast. We see the mouth of the lion, body of the leopard, feet of the bear, but the eagle's wings are gone. They're not there. So we know we're not involved in that one world government because of that scripture. But then we see in Revelation 12:14 that those eagle's wings are there, that they're helping Israel during the time of the Great Tribulation, the times, and the half a time. That lets us know that we are standing arm in arm there with Israel through that time. So that helps us to understand that these things that they're trying to implement here and push on us here, somehow or another, either by another election or by another politician that's going to lead America, will pull us out of these things. So we'll just have to see. I think a lot of people are waking up. Vince, would you agree that we're seeing people now that are starting to say, maybe we need to change the way we voted in this last election and things like that?
Seems quite obvious in the recent elections that occurred. I think it was Virginia.
Yeah.
Seems quite obvious.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So we have hope, Charity. So just keep praying and keep looking up. Things are going to get better.
I hope so. I just prayed, I want to stay strong enough in my faith to be able to do what God wants me to do while I'm here. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for calling us today, Charity. God bless you.
well, thank you, and thank you all for helping and keeping us informed and knowing what to do. And God bless you all. It takes a lot, I know.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Todd in Florida. Todd, welcome to End of the Age.
Hey, how you doing today?
We're well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I just want to encourage everybody that, we need to stand up and we need to fight this thing together. I know there's a lot of doctors and nurses out there that are suppressing the truth because their jobs are threatened and everything. And I just really honestly believe that, I believe, first what you believe, that we won't be part of the world government, but I also believe if we don't stand up now, it could possibly come to the point of almost being too late. And those camps you were talking about, that Jesse was talking about, they're the FEMA camps, and I still think they still exist somewhere.
Well, on those camps, we've asked for locations. We actually personally went to some that were provided to try to find something, and there was nothing there. So we've asked for years, if someone can send us the exact location, we will go verify and, tell the world about it.
The moment they knew someone was coming to take a look at it, everything's going to be removed. You know that.
Well, I mean, from what people are reporting, I suppose it's possible, but, from what the pictures that we've seen and then what we went and saw in person, It seems basically impossible that something was there before.
Oh, okay.
Now, I don't know, was the random person, that it's not like they're on the radar, when they told us where that location was, did that get detected and then they were able to move out, thousands of square feet of fencing and building before we got there and make it look like a field that had never been built on? I mean, I guess anything is possible, but it seems quite unlikely.
Right. But I just want to encourage people, that we need to, like you said, protest, stand up, fight. If you know the truth as a doctor or a nurse, you need to speak it out now. And the more people that we have talking about this and raising the issue and bringing it out, the quicker this I guess this regime can end, or the quicker this thing can end.
Thank you for your call, Todd. We're up against a break, so we got to let you go. We appreciate your perspective and sharing your opinion on that matter. We will be talking more about what's going on around the world, as well as taking your calls after the break. Join us at 877 Endtime, 877-363-8463. Don't forget to heart and share. We got one segment left, and your friends and family need to hear what we'll be talking about.
I've been part of the Endtime family from the beginning over 30 years ago when my parents, Irvin and Judy Baxter, began the ministry from the recliner in our living room. My name is Jana Robbins. I have the pleasure of connecting with our incredible partners every day. Endtime is a small nonprofit that runs a high-traffic website, a daily TV and radio show, the Prophecy College in Jerusalem, and more. Although we have less than 30 team members, we are able to serve tens of millions of people each month. We survive on the goodness of God and donations averaging about $50. If everyone hearing this message gave $22, our financial needs would be met for the year. If you only give to one cause per month, please consider partnering with Endtime to help get the message of our soon-coming King out to the world. Call us at 1-800-ENDTIME to give today, or go to endtime.com to become a monthly or one-time partner.
Welcome back to End of the Age. I do want to remind you that the Irvin's Last Words package is now available. One of the DVDs is Irvin's Last Sermon. It's several of Irvin's lasts on there, his last radio show, last TV show, his last conference, and his last sermon. Doug, I don't know if you were there that night that he preached, but he preached on spiritual gifts. And in the sermon, he's using power tools, drills, chainsaws, I believe. several tables built up around him and power tools just spread out across them. And he's going through those power tools and showing you how they are supposed to be operated and how that correlates with our spiritual life. So it's a very good message, and the last one that he preached. And so it's in that package. You can't get it by itself. You have to get it with that package. Irvin's Last Words 5 DVD set. And I think everybody should watch it. However, we're only making 1,000 physical copies. So if you want one, you better get one now. Go to endtime.com/Christmas. We don't anticipate that they will be available for very long. Eventually, it'll be on Into the Age Plus. However, to get the physical copy, it's kind of a collector's item. You need to go to endtime.com/Christmas or call 800-ENDTIME. Now, the best part is, even though it's worth about a little more than $100, we're making it available for free for your donation of any amount. That'll help cover the cost to make it. And so whatever the Spirit lays on your heart to give, go ahead and give it, and we will send you that. Just go to endtime.com/Christmas to get this special. It is a pre-order, I should mention. It'll ship in December. So we're very excited about it. Lots of great content. You need a copy of it. Let's go back to the phones now. Thomas in Alabama. Thomas, welcome to Into the Age.
Gentlemen, how are you?
We are well. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. I had a question about Prince Charles, since you touched on that earlier. With the Queen in such bad shape that she's in, if anything happens to her, he becomes king, correct?
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
Okay, so since he becomes king and Australia is under their purview, do you think that'll give him any leeway of starting it up more than just in Australia as part of the one world order?
I think that would open up a whole bunch of opportunities for Prince Charles. We did a program, was it last week? We did Is Prince Charles the Antichrist? And we talked about the possibility that he could actually rise up and be the Antichrist because of his political power, his political presence, and the area that he's going to be in charge over. However, we don't know. We just don't know who the Antichrist could be, but he could be a key player in the way things shape and form in the end time, most definitely. The one world government beast has the mouth of the lion, and one of our callers brought up a very good point last week and said that's how they kind of see Prince Charles, as being the mouthpiece of that one world government, and that could possibly be something that pans out there. He may not be the Antichrist, but he could possibly be, a big voice within the world government. He did say that we needed to approach the global warming with a military type of presence. So he's made some interesting remarks. We'll just kind of have to watch and see how that all plays out there, Thomas.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I appreciate it. You gentlemen have a God bless day.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's go to David in Virginia. David, welcome to Into the Age.
Thank you. I really miss Brother Baxter. Really miss him. But I just wanted to comment about, we just had an election in Virginia. Governor Youngkin, he's be sworn in January. But he came in saying he didn't believe in mass mandates for the little children in schools. And a lot of parents voted for him because of that. And he doesn't believe in mandatory vaccinations, which, I don't believe in that either. But what do you think about him winning the election? I'm talking about those things.
Well, I don't know, with the situation with the mask, those things, I had to really just kind of watch because I could go off on that for a while. But, I'm not for a mask mandate myself. I don't wear a mask. And so when somebody comes up and says, we're going to make this mandatory, I'm particularly against it. If they're telling me I have to do something or else, don't like that at all. I wasn't aware that he was for that. So I'm kind of caught off guard there because I haven't seen that. I hadn't read a whole lot
He
about
said he's against it.
Oh, is he against the mask mandate?
And that's why a lot of people voted for him.
Oh, okay.
He didn't want the children to be required to wear the masks in school.
Well, then that's great.
Well, I think it speaks volumes of what the
Yeah.
people actually want.
Yeah.
We believe in medical freedom in the United States.
And that's one way we can stand up. You know, how we were talking about earlier. Vote these people out that are for these things that go against our freedoms.
Regardless of what party they're with.
Yeah, just if they're standing up for freedom,
The Constitution.
that's the people we want in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and he said he didn't believe in mandatory vaccinations.
I'm with him.
Yeah,
and
me
they
too.
just the court just put a hold on Biden's mandatory vaccination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm with him, David.
Well, thanks. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you,
You
sir.
too, David. I hope that's the way all the elections go that
Yeah.
are coming up. I hope 2022 is like, let's get rid of these people that have been taking away our freedoms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's only subjective, though. So if you want to come into a movie theater or grocery store, you need your vaccine card. If you want to vote, no card at all required. So it's like, it just kind of depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
All right, let's go to Kimberly in Indiana. Kimberly, welcome to Into the Age.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a comment question, I guess. I know you guys were talking about the camps that they've been building to put people that haven't taken the shot.
That's in
What about
Australia,
the
yes, ma'am.
people that have taken the shot and still get COVID? I know personally of people who have actually taken it, and of course they didn't wear a mask or anything after they took the shot, but they ended up getting COVID.
Kimberly, you're not allowed to ask questions like this.
Oh, I'm not.
Well, you know,
Well, I'm
that's
gonna
what
get
they don't want people to know about those folks. Of course, their response would be, well, they didn't get the booster. If they would have got the
or
booster.
they would have been in much worse shape.
Yeah.
But I have heard, and yeah, and I've also heard that, well, if you take the shot, you won't end up in the hospital. It doesn't matter. You're still getting it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just confused on the whole thing. But that I know.
Welcome to the club.
That's because what so we have a story in here about what's happening with the COVID vaccine and how, let me find it, what the CDC admits, that there's no record of unvaccinated people with natural immunity against COVID. That we're talking about that. So, you know, in Austria, they're saying you're going to get locked down. However, in America, the CDC is saying there's no record. We can't track that in the data. So when you try to look at this stuff and make logical sense of it, it doesn't make logical sense, and that's why what we're telling everyone makes a lot of sense, and there's a bigger picture here, and it's trying to get you to be comfortable with a world government, trying to get you to be comfortable with what the government telling you what you can do, trying to get you comfortable with a mark of the beast and this control. And so the Bible tells us these days are coming, so we're not surprised at all. But if you try to look at it through their narrative, you're going to be confused. At least everybody I know is. It doesn't really make that much sense. And all the excuses that people come up with that are 100% for it, I just can't make logical sense of them. So I have to look at it through a lens of Bible prophecy, and then it starts making sense.
Well, when there's a 99 point
No, you're not allowed to say that, Doug.
6, 7, 8.
You're not allowed to say that.
Well,
It
I don't
doesn't
care,
matter.
but whenever there is a rate of survival with something that is that high for most age groups, and they're telling you have to take this shot, and then you can still get the virus anyway. It makes no sense at all. There's nothing logical about it.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, a lot of people talk about that, but you don't hear near the people talking about people getting it after the shot as you do otherwise.
Right.
But, you know, I just think that needs to be out there, and I'm with the other callers. We need to stand up for sure.
Well, I tell you this much: when we've got people in other countries that are going in lockdown for the unvaccinated, and then you look at a college football game on a Saturday on TV, and you see that in America they're sitting that close to each other, they're yelling and screaming for their team right there, all on top of each other. None of that makes logical sense.
None of it.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
does.
with the Bible 100%.
Yeah.
But I just think there's people out here that need to really pay attention.
Wake up is the term that a lot of people like to use nowadays. So
Earl Pitts used to say, "Wake up, America."
Wake up, America.
Wake
Earl
up,
Pitts?
America. Wake
I grew
up,
up on
smell the
Earl
roses.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your call, Kimberly. We appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Vess in Canada. Vess, we have about 30 seconds here, so please get to your question, and we'll do our best to address it before the end of the show.
Comment ça va, les amis? How are you, my friends?
We're well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, yes, I am up here in Canada. First-time caller, but about 20-year listener and follower.
Welcome. We're glad you've called.
So I don't have a question. I just had a comment because I do work with Veterans Affairs here in Canada. So I am a government employee, and we're going through some situations similar to Australia and New Zealand and all that. Mm-hmm. And I refuse to take the ouchie fauci. So because of that, I am officially, as of today, on leave without pay. Mm. So no income coming in. And our wonderful Prime Minister has also made it very hard for us to get income employment. So I can't get EI. So once again, I don't have an income. So it's very, very interesting here in Canada also, to say the least.
No doubt.
So let me just ask out of curiosity, what is your plan right now with being unemployed because of this situation? What is your plan for the future here?
Well, right now it's depending on God to open a new door to somehow work from home because I can't basically go anywhere because I don't wear masks either.
Yeah.
So it's a bit challenging right now. So I'm just depending on God to open the door, probably work from home. And right now my wife is still working. She also works from home. So we're just going to go with the flow.
Yeah.
See what God's going to do.
Well, I believe that God's going to open some doors for a lot of folks that are standing up for their rights and their freedoms. And so I think we just need to keep trusting in the Lord like you're doing.
Well, God bless you, my brother. We appreciate you calling in today. I'll quickly say that I have family that didn't have money, didn't have income, and bags of grocery ended up on their front door when they needed food. So the Lord will provide for us when we are in need. There's no doubt about that. Don't forget to go to endtime.com. We'll be right back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.